Kevin Nagani back with you. Absolutely the best time of year when we talk about football. The final game of the divisional playoffs, Rams-Bears, Sunday night. This will be the 12th playoff start for Matthew Stafford. He's 6-2 in the postseason for the Rams. Multiple touchdown passes in all 8 of those games. One shy of the longest streak in playoff history. On the other side, Caleb Williams, the sophomore, making his playoff start number 2. In his first start, how about throwing a Bears postseason record, 361 yards, and a comeback to beat the Packers? For much more on the Bears, Courtney Cronin on the scene.
Kevin, Caleb Williams has seen the meme of his gravity-defying fourth down throw to Rome Odunze with Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo superimposed over the Bears quarterback. What Williams did late against the Packers is a big reason why Chicago is still alive in the playoffs. Yet another game-winning drive from the 24-year-old, his 7th of the season, highlights his love for high-pressure moments.
I feel that I'm the best in those moments because of what I've prepared, to be in those moments and things like that. So, for myself, it's just next play. And then when you have to go make a play, it's life or death in those moments.
It's not like he needs a pep talk or a rah-rah or anything like that. He's ready to go, and been saying it all along. He rises to the occasion time and time again. It's really impressive to see a young player like this be so clutch.
Though Williams has become the king of the fourth quarter, all season long the Bears have pushed for a faster start. Aside from a high-scoring affair with the Niners, the Bears have been shut out twice and scored 3 points once in the first half in their last 4 games. As Coach Ben Johnson said, the Bears advancing to the NFC Championship will require them to play a complete game on offense from start to the fourth quarter. Kevin?
Courtney, thank you. Matthew Stafford is the only quarterback among the remaining teams who's won a Super Bowl. Experience playing a role in the last 20 seasons. It's just the second time that the quarterbacks in the divisional round have combined for no more than 1 Super Bowl victory. That was 2022. Patrick Mahomes had the only title, and he won it all again. For much more on Stafford and the Rams, here's Lindsay Theory on the scene.
Kevin, Matthew Stafford could not seem any less bothered by the sprain of his right index finger. Stafford did not practice today. The Rams only held a walkthrough, but he did meet with reporters for about 7 minutes. I asked him how his finger was feeling. He told me it felt great. I asked him if the weather in Chicago, where it's supposed to be in single digits on game day, compared to 80 degrees here in Southern California, could affect his finger. Stafford tells me, I don't think it'll affect it at all. As for how the weather could affect the entire Rams team, well, Sean McVay has a few jokes about that.
What we're going to do is we're going to get the biggest cold plunge ever, and everybody's going to see if we can sit in that thing for 3 hours, okay? Here's the thing, and this is what I've been pleased with, is I think we've handled those things well. We're not going to sit here and waste our emotional energy on things that we can't control. I don't have a weather machine, stuff like that.
I love NFL football and the history of it, and Lambeau Field and the ice ball, all those kind of things. I mean, there's something to it, right? That feels right when football's outdoors. You're playing it late in the year. It's cold. It means a lot. So I'm embracing it. I know our team is as well. Looking forward to the opportunity. I know it's going to be a great crowd there, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Now, Matthew Stafford does have one trick of the trade when it comes to staying warm. It's one he learned playing all those years in the NFC North and making frequent trips to Green Bay. He will wear a scuba jacket underneath his jersey, and it's in fact a trick that he's also passed on to Sean McVay, who says his chest on these cold games is a little bit bigger because of that scuba jacket underneath there. Kevin?
Lindsay, thank you so much. Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland back with us. He loves the cold here. Boog, the Rams and Bears offenses, they came up clutch late last weekend. So what's going to be the key for these teams Sunday night?
First of all, they can put on a scuba gear, scuba jacket, scuba socks. 6 degrees is going to be cold. And anybody who says they're going to be comfortable in that, they're lying. Okay, let me get that off the top. That's both teams. Both teams are going to be cold, and the weather will play a factor. As far as the game is concerned, I think everybody is expecting a high-scoring affair, Kev. I think when you look at Matthew Stafford, the presumptive MVP, and this Rams offense with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, how they run the football, I think the Rams are going to score points. You look at Chicago, Caleb Williams, he's been clutch. They're making chunk plays down the field. I think whichever defense can make the most timely stops and get some turnovers, I think is going to win this game. I would lean toward the Rams defense in this game. I think the Rams defense is a better defense. They rank top 10 as far as points per game allowed. The Chicago Bears rank in the bottom 10. So I think if you're looking for a defense to make a stop here and there, I think you got to favor the Rams defense, their front seven. Although I will say this, the weakness of the Rams defense is their secondary. And if they don't get pressure on Caleb Williams pushing the football down the field against this Rams secondary could be a pivotal part of this game. But I'll go back to where I started. It's going to be cold as hell to Chicago, and I don't envy anybody that's going to be covering this game or playing in the game or even going to the game. By the way, if you're going to sit in the stands and watch football in 6 degrees, you need something else to do in your life.
No, that's complete dedication. That is, I admire fans that can do that, that make sure they're in the elements and they're cheering for their team. Now, the opposite of feeling that temperature on Sunday night is Monday, and that is in Miami. Let's look ahead to Monday's national championship between Miami and Indiana on ESPN. The top-ranked Hoosiers unbeaten and a big favorite. The Canes were the last team to get into the playoff, but they are playing their best football of late. So, Boog, Indiana, they just don't make mistakes. What must Miami do to pull off the upset here Monday night?
Well, I think this is going to be the quintessential team in Indiana against a very talented bunch in Miami. And I think if you're Miami, Mario Cristobal, yeah, we know you're built on the line of scrimmage, the offensive line, running the football with Fletcher, and the defensive line with Bain and Mesidor. But if you're going to be an underdog and win the game, it's got to be because of Carson Beck. Like, he's going to have one of his better games of the season. Carson Beck has to show up and show not only Miami fans, but NFL scouts that he is the guy we thought he could be a couple years ago. He's a big kid. He's got athleticism based on the run you saw when he won the game against Ole Miss. But he's going to have to make several throws down the field. You're going to have to see C.J. Daniels, Malachi Tony. They're going to have to get big plays down the field. You and I always talk about it, Kev. What's the anatomy of an upset? Big explosive plays and turnovers. If you're going to make an upset, you got to get turnovers, you got to get explosive plays. Those are two key factors in the winning football games. And if Miami is going to do that, they better show up and get it done. One thing about it, Kev, I know where you and I'll be. We will be watching up close and personal in Miami.
Yeah, on the sidelines and not in a jacket. I know you'll like that, by the way. Keep that in mind, of course, Monday night leading up to the national championship on ESPN. Boog, thank you so much. Let's take a closer look at this, by the way. How about the idea of tickets? By the way, the line's 7.5 points, over Miami. That's how it opened. A group half. The public is still all over the Hoosiers, the tune of nearly 80% of the tickets and even more of the money on the spread. If this line stays, it would be the 4th time in 6 years that the championship game spread has been greater than 8. Sports betting analyst Joe Fortenbaugh joining us as we are now 5 days away from the title game, and this line keeps on moving in one direction. How far do you think it's going to go?
So Indiana opens as a 7.5-point favorite. We're up to 8.5. I'm looking at the 8.5. I think the cap would be 9.5. 10's a key number. You get the 10, you're going to see an onslaught of Miami money. Conversely, I think the floor for this is where it opened, down at 7.5, because if you get the 7, you're going to see an influx of Miami money. Indiana money. Here's the key you need to remember, speaking of Miami. They've been an underdog twice this postseason, against Texas A&M and against Ohio State, and in both situations, they took aggressive money on game day. So I would expect Monday to be the day you start to see that Miami money hit the market.
And those 2 games were playoff games.
Yep.
All right, let's turn to tonight. Large NBA slate of games, including